Well, welcome everybody. We are the Fallbrook Climate Action Team in our 10th year, I guess starting in our 11th year. And we have been working hard to get a reprise or reprise, however you pronounce that, of a talk that we had pre-COVID with Vallie Gilley, who represents and I think is probably a founding mother of the One Kitchen Collaborative. And I think the last time that we talked about this, I think we called it the Green Oceanside Kitchen. And
Yeah.
a couple of permutations since then. But in getting ready for Vallie's presentation, I I looked her up and I found out she is, in fact, a very busy lady. She's also been the proprietor of Jitter's Coffee Pub in Oceanside for 18, 20 years, something like that. Um, and some of the products from One Kitchen Collaborative goes there. She's also the founder of the Feeding the Soul Foundation, which puts on events. I think they're music and food events to fund other nonprofits. And as if that wasn't enough, I see that Vallie Gilley was the District 36, Congressional District 36 Woman of the Year in 2021. And from what I've been able to read, she really deserves it. So before I turn it over to you, I just want to let you know, for anybody who is not familiar with who we are, as we put on monthly presentations, we're not politically affiliated in any way, but we're just a group of people who are concerned about the climate and wanting to do something and help others do something about it. We have some upcoming presentations. So next month, get ready for the Avocado Growers Association, and they're going to be talking about climate change and the effect of effect of that on growing avocados, which is certainly relevant to Fallbrookians. And then we're going to have a speaker, Mike Bullock, talking about the scoping plan that will help the state of California, I think, is it, or is it the county?
State.
The state achieve its climate and carbon reduction goals. So get ready for those. And so now maybe you could tell us a little more about who you are, Vallie, but I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction. I'm happy to be here. It feels full circle, like getting to speak to you right as the kitchen was opening. Ironically, I have a kitchen that was sponsored by the Green Oceanside Department at our city, which I'm very proud of. I'm born and raised Oceanside, and we have a huge sustainability movement in our community. And so the reason it's called Green Oceanside Kitchen is that's the actual name of the facility. And under Feeding the Soul Foundation, we started this project as a pilot almost called Oceanside Kitchen Collaborative, Oside Kitchen Collaborative. And through all the renditions of COVID and all those crazy things, we actually wound up serving greater San Diego and our community, like a wider community. And I realized we should just be one kitchen because we're all in this together. So we changed our name from Oside to One pretty quickly after we started seeing what this program became. It was just like this little idea of being able to take surplus food from farms and farmers markets and gleaning organizations and preserve it, whether it be pickles or hot sauce or jam. Also, like making popsicles, basically taking really great edible food and getting it to stay on our plates longer or in our freezers or on our cupboards, and being able to educate our community. And obviously, after I spoke to your group, COVID came pretty quickly after, and we thought about it really quick. And I said, well, we could close like everybody else and collect unemployment. And not that there was anything wrong with it. Staying safe and staying with our families was important. But we had this beautiful facility that the city has given us. and we decided to turn it into an emergency feeding program. The other thing we quickly learned was with everything being shut down, can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure we're
Yes.
good.
Mhm.
Okay. With everything being shut down pretty quick and us kind of in a really scared situation and not knowing what direction we were going and how long things were going to be, like no community gathering, farmer and farmers markets weren't happening. Nobody had quickly pivoted to like CSA boxes or anything yet. This is in the very initial, like I would say 90 days. So if you can think about this, there's farmers that are growing all this food that are usually taking it to restaurants and to farmers markets and to grocery stores, local grocery stores, and they weren't doing any of that because it was on complete shutdown. So what we did is work directly with those organizations or those farms or those food businesses and have it brought to our kitchen. And then we were able to feed people in need. So we quickly pivoted from being an education catering kitchen to a full emergency feeding program. And the short version of that is we fed 700,000 people in need and diverted almost 1 million pounds of food that would have gone to the landfill. Edible, beautiful, not just bumper crops. Like right now in the organization, because things are back to normal, we get great food, but it's usually bumper crops or uglies or, things that are too small or windfall. And we're able to preserve all that food, but not in the scale that we did during COVID. And so that was a huge accomplishment for us, but also like really changed our original message and our drive. It's like I couldn't go back to what we originally decided to do. The irony of this is I really fought for us not to be people to think we were a soup kitchen originally. I wanted them to know like we were like taking surplus produce and turning it into edible, keeping it into edible food, like I said, a manufacturing kitchen and an education kitchen. And the irony is that we wound up being a feeding program, which is so rewarding and so fulfilling. And I can't believe I even thought to fight against that originally, like I just wanted to stay in my lane and I realized you could do both. So with that, what we were able to do though is do a lot of online cooking classes, education. COVID made us do exactly what we're doing now in this meeting is that we were able to um, educate our community members and actually our industry members. So people in the restaurant and food business and teach them how to be less wasteful. And so we did classes from basic quick pickles and preserving to how to utilize the whole fruit and vegetable, how to keep things on our counters longer, like oiling fresh squash so it doesn't go bad and not putting it in the refrigerator. It lasts quite a long time in our pantries, teaching people how to store things properly, also educating community members on the best buy dates and the sell by dates because a lot of times people just throw those things away and they're perfectly good food. There's nothing wrong with it. So with that pivot, we were able to quickly change even our education model. And then what's nice about these kind of meetings or these kind of interactions is that they're recorded and documented so we can utilize this education all the time, anytime, on our YouTube pages or on our websites. Um, and that's been great too. While I'm not very techy, obviously, because I'm not able to show you my PowerPoint presentation, it has been very quite interesting and really rewarding to be able to have a journey like this and to change. And one of the reasons I was woman of the year for our district was because we were able to do all these things and really uplift the dignity of our communities. I didn't want people to feel bad because they were getting a handout or getting a free meal. Now, to be clear, I like to tell people we didn't distribute the meals. We worked directly with organizations that distributed meals so that they were insured and they had volunteers that could be helpful in those arenas, but we just produce the food. And for many organizations. I think a lot of times people think it's just unhoused. We 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 didn't do that. We also it's our senior community, our family communities. Um, we actually helped also make surplus food or surplus meals for organizations like that had COVID hotels and like Jewish family services. They couldn't keep up with the demand for their needs. So we were able to make extra meals even for those organizations and freeze and store properly. So that's been huge. A lot of the ways our programs have changed too since COVID is we have done um, inter generational education. So getting our aging community and our youth communities together into cooking classes or gardening programs. We've been able to work on a lot of grants now that do education. So we have created programs called Create, and those are programs where kids are able to do physical art and pair it with culinary art. Um, and we've been able to be funded to do a lot of pilot programs to see what works and what doesn't work when it comes to sustainability. A lot of times, I think people are scared when they see me at events that I'm going to shame people for having a plastic bottle or not having recyclable containers. But I think part of my mission now is it's not all or nothing, like really showing our community to um, collectively, the little bits that we are all able to do together is so impactful. And it's not an all or nothing process. Like I told someone the other day just to make them feel good. I used a plastic bottle the other day. It's not like, I don't, I just try to make an effort to use my reusable wherever I can. But, this is real life. And so I've noticed that we have to be flexible and a lot of my goals are to close those gaps where it needs to be closed, whether it's from a farm to a grocery store or to the overage or whatever it may be. Does anyone have any questions so far? Sorry, I'm going pretty quick.
I was gonna ask if you had any relationship with the Fallbrook Food Pantry.
I don't. I've worked with a few pantries, but not Fallbrook, no. I would love to if you have a connection. We're still, while we're on a smaller scale, we still have great relationships and we get a lot of food donated. So whether it be fresh bread or produce, and also we're caterers, right? Like I think people forget we're active catering, so we always have overage that is chilled properly and stored properly that we could donate to other organizations. So if you have anyone that you'd like to connect me with, I would love it because there's always plenty.
Wow, that's
Okay.
so unusual to hear the words "there's always plenty."
There's always plenty. I know it's crazy because typically that was looked at as waste, right? And
Right.
what we do is we're conscious caterers, meaning like, of course, if you come to me and you say you have 100 people, I'm gonna plan to have 100 people. And a caterer never wants to run out of food, but it really is in the education of how we properly store food and how we utilize it. So it doesn't all need to be heated and warmed up at once. If you see that you need another tray of lasagna, we've got it in the refrigerator ready to go and prepped, but like not just waiting in a warmer because that would be trash at the end of the evening.
Mhm.
So we also work with our clients. And while I know a lot of people feel like it's weird, we will pack up food to go. We will store it properly. And you would not believe how many clients are so excited about receiving the food that they pay for. A lot of people think, oh, it's just trash, and it's not. Like we it really is though about being able to make the extra effort to keep things stored properly. You can't not everything is donatable, like you have to like really make sure, but it's in our planning and it's as I do a lot of these speaking events and as I, obviously go to a lot of meetings and different organizations I participate in, the catering and then obvious is so wasteful. whether it be at like schools or, and I'm really trying to change the mindset of when I go to speak is that like, yes, it's great that we have share tables. Yes, it's great that the kids can. I don't know if they're allowed to do it now since COVID, but in the beginning they were able to, if they didn't want their carrots or their apple, they were able to put it in a box that allows another child to have it. But I know that a lot of those situations have changed since COVID. And also, like, unfortunately, we've gone backwards when it comes to the containers, right? Like we were really working hard on plastic containers. Yes, styrofoam for the most part is gone, but I still see it out there in to-go containers at restaurants. But um, COVID allowed a lot more waste, even in my kitchen. Like we didn't allow to-go containers and plastic containers, and we had to because we were distributing food safely, right? But um, I feel now it allowed it back into our businesses and back into our communities, having all this like single-use plastics and yes, some stuff is recyclable and some stuff is compostable or digestible, but not really, so I'm hoping that we can get back to there, like, being able to have reusables. I've have a garage full of reusables that have silicone lids and metal containers so that we can drop them off to our senior programs or drop them off at our catering businesses. But people have not been flexible again. It's like we're starting over.
Vallie, can I interrupt you for a second and ask you
Of
to
course.
roll back the clock? As I remember some significant things from your first talk.
Yeah,
One of which is that you, like, we could have gone to you at that point and had you cater our event. Is that
absolutely.
do? All right.
Yeah.
So when you cater an event, is food that would otherwise have been wasted or donated?
Well, so yeah, a lot of people, because we get some negative remarks. People will say, "Oh, you're feeding us like landfill lasagna and compost," and I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. This is all edible. Nothing's rotten." Like, I would love to have you guys out to see our facility one day if you ever wanted to do a field trip. It's so beautiful. We have a triage, a walk-in refrigerator that's the size of a semi truck, so we can triage food immediately. Organics recycle what's not usable, and then everything else is processed immediately. And we have these beautiful tilt skillets and like really state-of-the-art kitchen that allows us to do all the things I told you earlier. But with catering, yes, maybe I'll have 100 pounds of watermelon that was donated from a farm because I had overage and they couldn't get, they didn't have a way to get rid of it, or a food bank. It wasn't enough for a food bank or an organization, but we could process it right away. And that would be the flavor of the agua fresca for your event. Like it happens to be seasonal. And we're really upfront with people like, hey, we can not always promise certain things, but like if you ordered a steak dinner, you would get a steak dinner. We just happen to buy more ethically sound meat. We buy whole cows and have them butchered. We try not to buy from the big grocery chains or from the big companies when we can. I mean, there's obviously going to be times where you have to buy things, but anytime we can supplement the menus or use things that are seasonal or from our local farms or things that would have gone to the landfill, we absolutely incorporate those in all our catering. And we will tell people this came from Mraz Family Farms, or this came from, Milano Farms. This is why we got it. This is what we did with it, because we want people to know. Absolutely. Like, look at how great this food is, all from, you know, something that somebody thought was trash and it wasn't. I mean, I have a hard time explaining to people, like, I will get things from the farmer's market that you just purchased, that you just bought because they can't take it back, right? They're going to do a new farmer's market with a fresh pick the next day or 2 days later. They're able to give it to me. Some people are able to write things off that it didn't go to waste, especially with all the new bills that have changed too. Tier 1 and tier 2 food businesses have to donate edible food if they can. And while those laws have changed, there's still not infrastructure to support all of that yet. So we're trying to help educate people what to do with their overage.
Are you familiar with a program called Too Good to Go?
No, but there's a lot of programs that probably are similar that I work with. It's like, is it like overage or imperfects?
Well, yeah, it's for restaurants that wanna get rid of their overage at the end of the day
Oh, yes,
that
too
they
good to
don't
go, and
throw
people can
out.
pay like $5 and get like
Yeah.
a bag. Yes, I have seen it actually at Whole Foods, ironically. I asked what the bags were that were lined up, and it must have been that.
Mhm.
It's
That's a
great.
great way to do it.
Yeah, it's a good deal, but unfortunately in Fallbrook, you have to like donuts or pizza.
That's it. That's all there is.
Yeah.
Rolling back the clock again, I do remember you talking about this giant refrigerator that you have. And at the time, it was like the largest refrigerator in California.
Right.
They made it possible for you to take on large quantities of
Mhm.
overage food. And you talked about a lot of creative ways that you would use things that maybe took a lot of creativity. Um, and I particularly remember this story when you got like a box carload of pumpkins, I think.
Yeah.
And you did not want to waste any part of those pumpkins. You talked about everything you did with them. So if you
Yeah.
wouldn't mind telling us
I
again.
would love to tell. Yeah, so pumpkins are odd, right? You have them as a lot of people use them as decorations or people, not all of them are as sweet as the pumpkins that you would use for pie, but ironically, I had done a catering, um, a big grazing table for, a big musician, and he had like 100 people over for this evening where they I don't know, they I was like a live recording of an album. And so I really wanted to make it like really fun and interactive. And so we had all these preserves that we had made, and then you had all these pumpkins because it was fall, right?
Mhm.
And I met this lady in line, and she was from Estonia, which to me sounded so funny. I know it's a place, but I've never met anyone from Estonia. And she's like, I love all this. We love pickled this, and we love, she goes, but have you ever had pickled pumpkin? And I was like, no, never. Like pumpkin butter, pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, pumpkin. And I'm a baker by trade. So I feel like pumpkin flan, but no pickled. That sounded awful to me. So she gave me a recipe, and she said, especially with the pumpkins that aren't quite sweet or they're like a different variety, she's like, it's great to pickle them. And then what you did is you used, instead of like all the salts in the pickling, you would use more like cloves and star anise inside of the jars. And it really changed the flavor. And so I tried it, and it was the best. It was so interesting and so delicious, and as it sat in the vinegar, it got really ripe, and we were able to drain all the juices, once it was, coming to the date, and I blended all those pumpkins, and I made that pickled pumpkin made the best pumpkin bread I've ever had in my life.
Huh.
And so pumpkins are discarded all the time. And yeah, sure, it's great if you are able to put them in your compost, or you're able to, still organically recycle them. Like we have a whole, system, but it was so nice and gratifying to me in the business I'm at to take something that normally people would just get rid of and be able to make it edible. We made even made we at the time we had a popsicle maker, like this beautiful popsicle machine, which we have gotten rid of since because it's just too much. But we did make these wonderful, like, vegan cheesecake pumpkin kind of popsicles. So we got really creative with the pumpkin. And so I always look, instead of it looking like, oh God, it's kind of like grapefruits too, you guys. Like we'll get all these beautiful green grapefruit, but I'm like one out of 100 people that like grapefruit. It's like really trying to figure out what to do with the grapefruits because I don't want to waste it. We work a lot with like senior gleaners and a couple of different gleaning companies or organizations, and grapefruits are tough. We'd always end up with them, but we've been able to make gelato, grapefruit, dehydrate the peel and make these beautiful candy grapefruit slices. And we've made all kinds of preserves, adding other citrus or maybe like other melons and things like to offset like the bitterness. But we made grapefruit simple syrup, which we actually use at Jitters. We make it with an espresso, which is like a sparkling water, and it complements the espresso so well. It's again, I had to get creative to learn how to use things that people don't really want to eat. And food banks get a lot of that fruit that people just don't eat the grapefruits. I mean, what are they going to do with it? Like, again, you, how many of you like grapefruit? Like maybe a few of you, but not everybody. It's not for everybody.
Yeah, or you can't eat it because it reacts
Medicine,
to
right to your medicine, right?
medication. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So, anyways, I've been able to like get really creative, which I feel like Willy Wonka, in a chocolate factory where I get to try all kinds of recipes because I have all this beautiful equipment that I've been able to use dehydrators and freeze dryers and like I said, popsicle machines and ice cream makers and so I really get to practice my creativity, especially with the items that people don't love or don't want necessarily.
And were you not also a teaching kitchen as well, at least early on?
No, we still are, but we've kind of pivoted more towards while we'll still do
Hmm.
educational classes for our senior community and for kids and teenagers, we are now more industry educating. So, like small businesses, how to be less wasteful, what to do with their overage. We even rent a little bit of space. We have two kitchens now, too. I didn't know if you knew that. We have one in Escondido that's primarily for uh, feeding our senior community, and then we have our main Oceanside kitchen, which is the one that how we met when we first spoke. But we still do education, but more towards industry because small businesses don't, that bottom line is important. You don't want to lose money, and I've been able to teach businesses how to be less wasteful, number one, how it impacts their bottom line so they're actually saving money, and how to get really like unique with their menu items. And so it's been really gratifying to see how much little waste there is now for our small catering community and also for some of our businesses, whether it be a pizza place or a taco stand. And then also implementing a little bit more plant-based options. We've showed our community how to have a profitable plant-based options, which is better for our environment as well.
I noticed that you had quite a few vegan
Excuse me.
things on your menu at Jitters.
Yeah, we're like 90% plant forward now, just because it's easier and you can get all those other things at the 42 other coffee shops in Oceanside. So I just figured it kind of made us different. And it's great. I mean, we make our own bread, we have our own sourdough starter, we make our own granola. I mean, everything. And most people aren't vegan or vegetarian that come in, but it's so good they keep coming. So we
Tell
roast
us
our own
where your
coffee. Mhm.
tell us where your coffee shop is.
We're in Oceanside and we're on the north end of Coast Highway, so 510 North Coast Highway. So
I,
right past City Hall,
yeah, little,
Oceanside City Hall. Yeah,
It's easy to
it's
find.
it's really fun. It's like my husband and I have been doing it for 24 years in October, and we just signed our 5-year lease. We're going to do it for 5 more years, and then we're going to retire.
wow.
So yeah, it's been a long road. I haven't, my best friend just partnered with us and my chef from the kitchen. So there's four of us now, which is nice, but it's a lot of work and to keep it sustainable and to keep it, being the model of what essentially OKC came from has been really awesome, but also difficult. You want to, like I said, I really have a hard time with the single use plastics and I really prefer people to bring in their own cups and not that we don't have paper cups, but I been in this industry a long time and it's really there really isn't much in the sustainability realm. Even if it's paper, it's lined with petroleum and but I can't win every hurdle. I can't climb every hurdle, right? Sometimes I got to go under it and just try to like do the best I can to, you know, educate our community and to like just really like uplift it. Like I really want people to join the movement.
Well,
Harriet, why don't you talk about what you wrote down?
Um, when we talked about actually senior gleaners are quite active in this area. So that's a connection that you already have. And
Yeah.
they get the extra fruit from my garden. But another place is called Eli's Farms, and they used to have a place out on Mission, and now they're they've moved to a less prominent location because they don't seem to have a retail store anymore. They seem to be all CSRs, and I tried to send them email to figure out what was going on because they have like greenhouses and they grow stuff. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know
I'll
what's
have
going
to reach out and see if yeah, I can definitely, reach out and see, maybe make that connection. We work with a lot of like small farms too, or like I have some hydroponic lettuce company organizations, and I try to work with. I've worked with Produce Good for many years. I think they've also pivoted into feeding people. Now, in full transparency, we still feed some organizations, but obviously it's not we had to go back to be able to do catering and things to be able to pay the bills, because being a nonprofit is not cheap, especially with us. We have big vehicles and vans and trucks to be able to pick up all these things, and it's quite expensive every month. So we have to actually have either corporate gigs or catering gigs to be able to keep things going, because grants, while we have plenty of grants, it's a lot of management, so it's kind of finding the happy medium of getting the message out and doing the work, but also being functional and sustainable.
So how could we channel our wallets into it? Could we go someplace and buy some of the products that you made? Let's say you had a whole lot of jars of pickled pumpkin.
Yeah,
We'll
so
buy
what we I look forward to fall. It's like my favorite season. We can definitely, I would love to we have a newsletter. So if there's opportunities to volunteer, there's opportunities to utilize, us for catering. Also, we do like sometimes meal prep. I mean, we've done a lot of things that you could purchase things to help keep us going. Um, During the holidays or during different seasons, we also like will do where if you want to buy a meal for yourself, it also buys a meal for someone in need. It just, or groceries, like I said, volunteer opportunities. So summertime, we definitely focus just on catering. And then once summer's over, because as a caterer, it's wedding season, it's all those things, right? Like obviously I'm doing this Zoom in a car right now because we're so busy. But once the season's over, then we get back to all the things that keep us going as a nonprofit. So I would love to get you on their newsletter mailing list, and then it always tells you, it keeps you up to date with what's going on with OKC.
Please put me on and I'll spread it around.
I love it. I will definitely do it.
Mhm.
I had another question, and you tangentially mentioned people coming with metal containers and silicone lids. A few years ago, I got some glass containers, and I was
Hmm.
really disappointed to find that they had plastic lids, and
I
so
know. I've
can't
seen
be
this.
can't be microwaved, and or well, it's plastic. Um, and at that time, it was sort of the only option for not having a plastic container to hold leftovers. And
Hmm.
it does fine. I mean, the glass washes well, but you mentioned metal containers with silicone lids. Now, is
Hmm.
metal good enough? Is the metal okay with things like lasagna and tomato sauce, stuff like that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Does it?
So actually, yeah. I can't remember the name. It's like escaping me right now. But we bought, I mean, the whole model was to be able to deliver meals or do meal prep in these kind of containers, because they were dishwasher safe, they were oven safe, they were freezer safe, and also refrigerator. They didn't leach any metal into the food. And then same with the silicone lids, also were safe to wash and heat. The only thing you couldn't use it for was a microwave, but most people said it was okay to scoop out what they wanted and put it on a glass plate to put in the microwave. But besides that, they're quite pricey, right? So like you're paying like $17 to $22 for a container depending on the size, but they
Yes,
guarantee,
I
they're
looked at my,
expensive.
I scooted over and looked at Amazon while you were talking, and it was just like, wow. I
It's
mean,
really
very, very,
expensive.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not cheap to be sustainable or even safe. Like I said, it's the one thing where, like even as a business owner, it's like we have these containers, right? They're totally compostable. They're not even like it doesn't even have to go to a digester. They could compost in the trash. But if you're not eating that food pretty quick, it's gonna soak through that container. So it's like I can't win sometimes. I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore.
Well, I know they're working on kind of a plastic made out of algae, I guess, to line these things. They're just not
Right.
fast enough, right?
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm 51. I feel like I've been in it for 25 years trying to find the right way, like even the paper straws. They made everybody get these paper straws and they found out they make people sick. So, yeah, so now everybody, if you notice, they're either made out of sugar cane or agave. There's no paper because they're lined with that petroleum and
Yes.
you're just directly drinking out of it, whether it's cold or hot. And it's not good for people. So they had to take them off the market.
Well, the other day I was researching splatter guards. That is, when I throw things in the microwave, I have this little plastic thing that looks like a cake pan, a
Mhm.
cake tray cover.
Yeah.
And I was reading about them online, and it said, well, if you got one that said it was microwave safe, then it should be microwave safe. And I'm just kind of looking at it like it costs $2, and really, what are the chances that it's actually microwave safe?
Well, is it silicone?
I don't know. I bought them many years ago, and
Mm,
it's like, well, at the time it was just everything. Every time I would heat something in the microwave, it would splash all over, and the microwave
yeah,
would get filthy. So, um,
right.
so
I don't even use my microwave anymore, you guys. The only time I use it is to sanitize my sponges. I just, I just learned how to reheat things on the stove. Actually, if you put pizza in a pan and drop one ice cube and cover it, it actually crisps up the bottom and melts the top. It's amazing. So, I mean, it's just like there are things you can really get into to like avoid using your microwave. I mean, that's not for everybody. I understand. I'm not like I said, I will use it if I had to, but I really try to avoid using it because that heating process, that microwave, no matter what the container is, there's a lot of toxins and I just want everyone to be safe. So be
it
careful.
it looks like Amazon actually does have um, silicone splatter guards now. At the
That would
time,
be better.
yeah, at the time that I got them, and they're not that expensive. I'm looking at one that's $9, but then there's another one that's $37. So,
Yeah,
um,
I get
oops,
it. It just depends
yeah,
on what you're getting.
yeah.
Yeah. Can I
Deanna, you
answer any
had a
more
question?
questions?
Deanna had a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you partially answered this, but uh, I just don't understand why we can't bring in either the customer brings in a reusable container that's clean to, do takeout or bring our leftovers home, or the
Mhm.
restaurant supplies one, and maybe we pay a fee for that container and then bring it back next time. And you
Mhm.
guys want to make sure it's clean or whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
there are some again, um they're really expensive and then yes, you can take a deposit which people don't love and then they either keep it or they bring it back. I know the Plot, and do you guys know, are you familiar with the Plot? It's a plant-based restaurant in Oceanside.
yes.
So they did that program for a while and they said it was really costly and people didn't wind up bringing them back and it just wound up being a lot. And yes, they could, the whole point was the restaurant could sanitize them and so you knew that they would be safe and clean because we obviously have to use chemical grade sanitizers or heat sanitizers, and that's fine. Again, my company, like my business, Jitters, we wanted to do that too, but at a coffee shop, people aren't going to pay the extra $20 to take a container. But the restaurant said they found some success. But then again, they weren't getting a break, or people wouldn't return them, and next thing you know, they'd have to buy more, and it got really expensive. I know that as a business owner, I'm not only just on the catering side, but also having a storefront. The health department, they don't even want you to use, especially since COVID, they don't want you to use like like even reusable mugs, which I like, my whole life depends on. Man, I have like 4 in my car right now. I'm drinking one right now, and it's like, I want to be able to do that. So what we've done at Jitters, and I can't speak for any other businesses, we put the drink in a measured metal container. So let's say you order a mocha, I want a 16-ounce mocha and I want to put it in my cup. We do it in the pitcher, steam it, put it together, and then we just pour it into your cup. And we don't even handle it. Like, you just put it on the counter. Once you've paid for it, we pour it in and we're done. But the health department really, unfortunately, we got to make some changes with the health department as well, because that's what's creating a lot of waste. They don't want you to do that. They don't want you, they say even like me touching your cup can cause contamination, and then pulling the handle of the coffee urn to pour the coffee and then to hand it back. And then I don't think it's any different than touching the register, but we wash our hands a ton. We have sanitizer everywhere. I just feel like those industry regulations are not meeting up with the sustainability regulations yet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's sad because it doesn't have to be that way, but it is. I mean, I now have reusable, we have like a metal urn that holds water, and we have stainless steel cups. And then we have an area for you to put your cups when you're done, because I just am not going to give away. And people get upset, and I'm sure people don't want to come back sometimes, and that's okay. But I'm not going to give you a plastic cup of ice water at Jitters. I'm just not going to do it. You can either choose to buy, and even my bottled water is in a metal recyclable bottle that you can reuse. I pay a lot of money. They're not cheap, but I just, I'm really trying the best I can. So, and I just tell people that, that they'll have to use a metal cup, and they can have their water here, and then when they're done, put the cup away and then go. Like, I'm not going to give you a cup to go. Sometimes people want to argue with me and they'll want to buy it. And I know this is like so strange to be talking about right now, but these are the hurdles, even as a business owner, like, that we deal with. And it's just so much waste.
But now you have a whole bunch of people you're talking to who are going to go to you for precisely that reason.
I love it. It's like, I can't win them all. Sometimes I still have to have, like, the San Pellegrino sometimes is shipped to me and it's in a plastic bottle, so I sell it, but I try to get the ones in the metal can so I can recycle it, things like that. But I don't, like you said, I told you earlier, it's not all or nothing. So we just do our part.
Yes, because
But if you bring me your cup or your container, I will fill it. I promise you.
because I have a reusable cup that I drink from all the time in my car, and I'm thinking
Mhm.
about it. It's got like sort of rubber pieces on the top, and there's a little button on the side that you can press, and then they've got a kind of a seal so that if I drop the thing on its head, it won't
Spill.
spill. Yeah. Um, is all of that? Do you know if all of that is mostly safe? I mean, it's I forget the
I
brand
mean,
name.
I
It's
think for the most part, they try to keep those things safe, because the rubber, I mean, depends on if it's expensive or not, right? If you got something cheap, no offense, Walmart, but sometimes if it's a few dollars, you're going to get what you pay for. But if you buy a reputable, like Yeti, those are not plastic, those are silicone. And as long as you're washing them properly and taking care of them, they're safe. And then when a seal breaks or you don't use that cup anymore, I always tell people, just, they are recyclable. So just put them in your recycling, because hate, the seals do break if you drop them, and then they don't keep things hot or cold anymore. So.
Hmm. Hmm.
But you come to Jitters and I will fill that up. Any more questions?
Elizabeth, did you have a question?
Not really. I did have a comment, though. It seems really odd to me that you can fill a paper cup and hand it to someone and that's not contaminating, but you can't take their cup and fill it, and that is contaminating.
I think it's because I don't know, and this is just coming from the health department, is that I don't know where that cup's been, whereas we have our cups in an area that's, you know, very clean, and they're not like all the cups are touched by everybody. Like we have them in sleeves and you pull the cup out and it's fresh, and you know, when you're grabbing it from the customer, that you don't know where that cup has been. And that's really just, especially since COVID, that they've stopped that. I mean, I've been filling people's cups. I used to have $1 coffees. I've been in business a long time. It's like I used to say, I'll fill up your coffee mug for $1 back in the day. I mean, now I couldn't do that because everything costs so much. But yeah, I mean, I was really like very ahead of my times. But I said there's no rhyme or order to this. It's just like, that's why I said the industry, the health industry or the compliance industry is not meeting the sustainability industry in the middle. It's just not happening. So there is not, you know, I don't have an answer to that. I'm not in charge of the laws. That's what and I try to break them as much as I can with keeping people safe, by the way. I've been told I'm a lot to deal with sometimes. That's what I've been told.
Yay.
I used to shop for at a company that sold olive oil, and you could bring back basically the jars. You could bring them back and get them refilled, but I just never felt comfortable because I wasn't sure that I could clean them.
Right.
You know, all oil kind of is tough to clean off of glass, and then I would have to put it in my car and drive down a dusty road, and you know, I just,
Right.
ugh, I they would, if they would clean them and I could return them and get my deposit back, or just get a new clean jar, that would be fine by me. But I have to say, I wasn't comfortable at the time with the idea that I should be able to clean this thing with olive oil that would sit on my counter for 3 or 4 months.
Right.
Whereas coffee is kind of a different, you know, you come in, you get a fill, you drink it, you take the cup home. It's kind of different. Whereas stuff that liquids that sit on your counter for potentially 3 to 6 months, or even longer.
I get it. Like I said, there's no rhyme or order. I just, you know, after COVID, they just said, I think it has to do with like, you know, things that go into people's mouths that somebody else could tell, you know, it's all the things. I mean, I'm pretty, who knows where I got COVID? I mean, I don't go anywhere except for work, but the amount of cups I touch, and I mean, I wash my hands. Like, I mean, I'm 51 and my hands look like they're 81, you know, like I use so many chemicals, which can't be good for you either. Here, I'm telling you, I don't use a microwave and I'm constantly using soap and sanitizer. So, I mean, I try to stay healthy, and I think that they have the right intention of wanting to keep things healthy and safe, but like we're not going about it the right way. So, plus some germs are good for you.
That's true.
Have you been affected by tariffs yet?
Oh yeah, my coffee, we roast all our own coffee, so all our coffee comes from, except for Papua New Guinea, comes from countries that have huge tariffs. And my bill would roughly be quarterly about $3,000 for green beans, and we're paying about 7,000
Mm.
for the same amount. And then nobody wants you to raise your prices, so that's also interesting because we're a small business, you know, but we haven't raised them yet. We're just kind of riding the wave. So let's see what happens.
Deanna had another comment.
Yeah, it seems to me you do you make a lot of food you give away a lot of food to
Mhm.
different groups and seniors and so forth. Do you get any state or federal funding to help you
No.
with this? Nothing.
Mm-mm. During COVID, there was some emergency feeding funding from the city of Oceanside for, I think, 90 to 121 days. But what they paid us was for like, I want to say like 500 meals a day, and we were doing like 3,000 meals a day. So obviously with the donations and volunteers and like, you know, getting things, yes, at that time, but we don't get any. The only funding we've ever gotten is for educational programs and equipment. We don't get paid. We don't get paid by the city either. A lot of people think that we're funded by the city and that, again, we're a soup kitchen and we should be doing this, this, and this. And we are completely self-funded. Except for, you know, sometimes we get donations or we've had people inspired by us. But that is just bonuses, not like, you know, we've been doing this almost 9 years now. And it's so, you know, we have to carry like $4 million coverage for insurance. Like that's almost unheard of, but it's what's required. So we are totally self-funded. Hence the fact that during summer, especially, we do a lot of catering gigs. And again, why I'm sitting in my car speaking to you lovely people is because I don't have a break in the summer.
Well, I'm just amazed you're profitable.
I don't know if profit's the right word, but we're definitely you know, make it. I actually volunteer. You know, when we started, I was supposed to be making, you know, a relatively decent wage. And I just got back to the roots and I decided, let's not do corporate gigs. Let's just do catering gigs and education. And I'm not going to take pay. I mean, I have a job, I have a business, and yes, while OKC can be a full-time job at times, it's really fulfilling to me to give back to my community. And so I haven't taken a pay in almost 2 years. So nothing. So, and I'm able to keep people employed at the organization, a living wage, and that feels really good. But it is not profitable. It is not a profitable business.
So when you retire in 5 years, are you going to retire from OKC also?
No way.
You're going
No.
to keep just doing that.
Yeah, I want to be just, I feel very blessed and grateful for my lifestyle. And while I am not rich in monies, I'm rich in life, and have always, you know, my husband and I have planned, you know, I did have a regular job before, and so we've just been smart, and so I plan on being very philanthropic. It's the only thing that fills my soul. Feeding the soul is a huge component of that. And so, yeah, I don't plan on, maybe we'll still roast coffee or do something on the side that we really enjoy, but nothing, no full-time jobs for me. Only, you know, OKC or whatever OKC turns into, you know, like, again, we spoke many years ago, and what I thought I was going to be doing and what I'm doing now they are in alignment, but they are not the same.
Initially, did you have some county funding to get you started?
No
No.
funding.
Wow.
No,
What this
I had
started,
to figure it out. I'm a
including
resourceful girl.
all the equipment, you either had to buy it or it was donated, huh?
Or it's like on loan, right? So the city of Oceanside owns the kitchen, but you know, they also, we provide metrics, and they've won tons of awards for a lot of our hard work, which is wonderful. Like, you know, it's great to build a facility and allow an organization to do what we do. So but yes, you can have all the equipment you want, it still costs an extreme amount of money to employ people or to do this kind of work. So no county funding, no state funding. Anything we did was a paid job.
Wow.
So you guys, my iPad's about to die, and so I'd love to answer any more questions before I get back into my event.
Thank you
Just-
so much for interrupting your event to speak to us.
No, it's my pleasure. I love this. This is what I live for. I wish I could do more of this.
Just quickly, this is Barry and Von Grant up in Bonsall, and we have blood red oranges and some avocados, and with the shout out to Produce Good and Senior Gleaners, we donate, but we have actually too much fruit for them. But so we'll have to come down and make contacts and bring some nice blood red oranges down to you.
I would love that. And then if I make any marmalade or anything delicious, I'll bring you some.
We'll buy it for gifts.
Well,
I
Thank you.
love it.
Thank you for
yeah,
doing all this
we're very
volunteering.
impressed with your efforts. You really set a high mark.
Thank you very
Before that-
much. I appreciate that.
See what you're doing. We know how tough it is.
Yeah.
It's double tough.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to get on your newsletter list and spread your word here in Fallbrook
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you so much.
media.
yeah, let us know also how we could set up a tour of your facility.
I would love that,
love
Cynthia. I'll
that.
make sure that I reach out. If you guys don't mind waiting till summer is kind of over, but October is usually when we start to slow down. I'd love to invite you guys. Maybe I could even make you lunch or a treat or something.
Yeah, it's probably time for us to go on a field trip.
Right?
That would be great.
Thank you.
Yes, Vallie, you're amazing. Thank you for
Thank
all
you
that
so
you do.
much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me speak. Thanks for waiting for me.
It was worth it.
All right, you guys have a lovely evening.
You too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.